Hi, welcome to the stretch sessions. My name is Danny and I'm going to be guiding you through 15 minutes of lower body stretches today. So we're going to be getting into your hamstrings, your glutes, your inner thigh, your outer hips and your IT band. So for today's practice, you're going to want to be seated on the floor. You also may want some props. So the first one being a yoga strap. This could be a tie like I have now or a belt, just anything to grab hold of really. The other thing is a yoga block or yoga block substitute. This could be a water bottle, some books, and these are going to be really useful for you if you have quite tight hamstrings. So once we get into it, feel free to press pause and you can run off and grab something if you feel it's going to be useful for you today. So when you are ready, let's sit on the floor and we're going to start our class today. So as always, I like to start by closing my eyes, by taking a few moments just to get out of the busyness of our everyday lives. So close your eyes, relax, have a little body scan for any tension you may be holding on to. Let's begin with taking some deep inhales through the nose. And if you can, exhale through the nose as well. And really try to push out that exhale. Try and make it as long and as deep as possible in your own time. Inhale through the nose again. See if you can make it a little bit longer. And exhale when you're ready. Let's do one more inhale, filling those lungs with air, feeling the belly rise. And exhale. When you're ready, we're going to open the eyes and we're going to begin our movement practice. So let's extend one leg. So I'm going to extend the right leg. I want you to take the left leg, bend the knee, place the sole of that left foot against that inner right thigh. So here I want you to engage this right leg. I want you to kind of push the thigh bone in towards the hip. So you're squaring the hips, making them parallel with the front of your mat. Like I said, sit up nice and tall. Grab your strap if you feel like you're going to need it. Hook it around the sole of that right foot. And we're going to start to hinge from the hips, bringing the abdomen over the thigh. If you have any pain in this left knee joint, I would encourage you to take a block, take some cushions, stack them up underneath it, or have a play around with your foot placement on the leg, doing whatever you need to make this comfortable for you. So you should be able to feel this running all the way down the back of that right leg into the hamstring. If you want to stretch in the calves as well, I want you to plan to flex this foot, so bring the toes towards you. Now hands on that strap, maybe the hands are just on the thigh, on the floor, on the shin. By now you should be able to walk those fingertips a little bit further forward, wherever they are. So there's no need here to round the spine. You don't need to hunch the shoulders. You don't need to bring the forehead down towards the leg. I want you to make sure the spine is nice and flat. A few more breaths here so you can go a little bit further. And then gently walking his hands back in. We're going to take this right leg, extend it out to the side. This left heel, I want to be in line with your belly button and bring it as close in towards the body as you can. Again, stacking things under here if you need to. Sit up nice and tall. Place your hands on the floor in front of you. And it might not take very long this time before you start to feel this in that inner right thigh. Make sure that that right knee is pointing up towards the sky. Make sure you're not rolling over onto this left hip and lifting this right buttock up. I want you to make sure that both sit bones remain down onto the floor. Easier said than done. I know it's really tempting to lift up onto one side. So as always, once you've been here a little while, you might find that you can get that chest a little bit further down towards the floor. If you're just sat here and you're sat nice and tall and you can still feel it in that leg, then that's fine. Just stay here, stay as you are. Few more breaths in this posture. And when you're ready, we're going to slowly walk the hands back to center, releasing out of it. This time, I want you to bend both legs, bring the soles of the feet together. I want you to make a nice wide diamond shape here. So don't bring the heels in towards the body. I want you to move them away, make some space. And you're going to play around with your foot placement and see what works best for you here. But grab hold of the ankles, the feet, the knees, sit up nice and tall. And as always, we're going to fold forward very gently. So here, you may feel it in the inner thigh. It should be on the outer hips, should be in the glutes, but you might feel it in different places, especially if you're holding on to tension or if you're particularly tight in that one area. So grabbing hold of what you can, start to bring that chest down towards the floor. You may also feel this maybe in the lower back. If you drop the head, bring the chin in towards your collarbone. You may also feel it in the neck, in the shoulders. And when you're ready, gently coming back up. We're going to do those same two stretches on the other side. So this time we're going to extend the left leg out to the side. Right leg comes in towards the body heel below the belly button and pulled in as close as you can. Sit up nice and tall. Hands on the floor, and if this is where you're going to stay, that's fine. You can also have a little play around with how far you move this left leg out as well. But if you want to take a little walk with the hand, you can do so. Again, making sure you're not rolling over onto that right butt cheek. Make sure both sit bones are planted down onto the floor. Make sure that left knee joint is pointing up towards the sky. And again, there's no need to kind of sink into this one. Try and make sure that your posture is good throughout these poses. Make sure that back is nice and flat. A few more seconds here. And let's return the hands back in. Let's swing this left leg forward this time so that the foot is right in front of you. The right sole of the foot coming towards the left inner thigh. Again, please, no pain in the knee here. Stack up some things underneath if you need to. Grab hold of your strap if you want to use your strap. Engage this left thigh. Pull that left thigh bone in towards the hip socket. So your hips, you can feel them here, are parallel with the front of your mat. And we're going to take a fold, hinge from the hips, remember, abdomen over thigh, not head over knee or what else, nose towards knee, abdomen over thigh. Nice flat back here, grabbing hold of your strap or placing the hands down. You will find after a while you'll be able to get a little bit deeper, you'll get more length in those hamstrings. So as before, if you also want to incorporate a calf stretch here, plantar flexor foot, bring those toes towards your torso. You can also, if you've got the flexibility, take that hand and hold on to the toes as well to get a greater calf stretch here. You may find that this side is a little more tight than the other. You might have more movement here, which is completely normal, especially if you are doing lots of sports. If you're a footballer, if you play tennis, you're predominantly using one side of the body a lot more than the other. So from our hamstring stretch, let's release out a bit. I want you to find yourself coming onto all fours. Here we go. So whilst we're here, let's check in with our alignment. Make sure that your wrists are stacked below your shoulders. Make sure that your knees are stacked below your hips. I want you to tuck the toes under. We're going to lift the knees up. And from here, push the weight backwards so chest comes in towards the thighs. This is your downward facing dog. So if you want to bring a bend to the knees, that's perfectly okay. I'd much rather you had bent knees and a flat back. then straight legs and a rounded back like this. So from here, if you find that you're in more of a high plank position, I want you to bend the knees, push the weight back. So you should find that your weight is evenly distributed between the hands and the feet. Lift those hips higher up towards the floor and sink those heels down towards the mat. Your heels do not need to be touching the mat, by the way. This isn't an easy pose at all. It's actually a really strong pose. It's quite physically demanding. Now from here, let's bend the knees. I want you to sit your bottom back in towards the heels. Rest the chest into the thighs. Maybe the forehead comes down onto the floor. And you can extend the arms out in front of you if that feels good as well. Might get a nice stretch underneath the armpits. This is called Balasana or child's pose, and it's a lovely pose just to come into when you need a bit of a rest. Bring your heart rates back down, calm the breath before we do our downward facing dog again. So mentally prepare yourself. Let's go. Coming into child's pose, make sure that your wrists are underneath your shoulders. We're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees up, push that ground away so the chest comes in towards the thighs, finding your downward facing dog again. I'm going to hold it here just for a few moments before we do another hamstring and IT band stretch. Make sure you can nod your head yes, shake your head no. Your fingertips should be, or your fingers should be spread nice and wide, fingertips gripping onto the mat. So your weight is quite evenly distributed between all the surface area of your hands. Now from here, I want you to walk the hands backwards towards the feet, bend the knees if you need to. Now this is where your blocks might really come in handy. You can place them on the floor like so. You may find that you could grab some water bottles or some books, pots and pans, plant pots, whatever you can grab hold of. But it just helps you bring the ground towards you. And you can bend the knees here, remember. As long as you are feeling it in the hamstrings, that's all that matters. So this is our forward fold. I'm actually going to get rid of my blocks so that the camera angle is a bit better. You can see more of me. Because what we're going to do is bend one leg. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to bend my left leg. I'm going to plant my left hand on the ground. So whichever leg you bend, plant that hand on the ground. So once you bend one leg, you're going to kind of sink into the hip and you'll find that you can bring length into the other leg. And once you've got length in this leg, you'll probably find that you can feel it coming right up and towards the outside of your leg into the IT band. Pick up the hand of the foot, or the same side that you've got the straight leg. Pick up the hand off the floor. We're going to reach it all the way up into the air, fingertips pointing up towards the sky. Let's relax. Come back into our forward fold. Let's do the other side. So bend the other knee. Whichever knee is bent, that hand grounds into the floor. Straighten the other leg and pick up that hand. Reach it up towards the sky. So now you should be feeling a deep stretch down the back of that straight leg, maybe into the side. That's your IT band. A lot of runners suffer with quite tight IT bands. It's very common. It's quite a hard area to stretch out. And let's return both hands to the floor. One last hamstring stretch before we walk our hands back out into our downward facing dog just for a few seconds. Bring the knees back onto the floor. Rest in your child's pose or come into your seated position because you have finished your stretch session today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.